Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Vinyl and Vision. Here we are with episode 95. Today's very special guest is Ivan Julian. I'm very honored to have Ivan on the show today. Ivan was the guitarist and member of Richard Hell The Voidoids. He played on the album Blank Generation. So back in my feed, you can see that we featured Richard Hell The Voidoids' Blank Generation from my conversation with Mike Watt. I feel like this is also a mutually kind of landmark episode for me because Ivan is a kind of a monumental inspirational figure, kind of like Mike Watt and like Keith Richards that Ivan and I talk about in the show, about his interaction with him and meeting him once and how that happens. So you meet these people who are influential figures, and what else can you really say? Yeah, it was great having him on. Obviously, topic of discussion was Rolling Stone's Sticky Fingers album, which is an amazing album. And just trying to parse out the music history timeline here, as far as like influential figures in the music industry, musicians primarily, and the albums that affect them and that timeline, trying to figure it out. Okay, that's essentially the gist of this show here today. So. Also, Ivan Julian has a new solo record out called Swing Your Lanterns. It's currently available on Pravda Records. What you're listening to is the song Wild off of that album. And at the end of the episode, I'll feature a small clip of another song called I Am Not a Drone Alone. That is definitely one of my favorites. It's a good one. We will provide links to Pravda Records to order the vinyl, which is currently in pre-sale status, I believe. So links will be in the show notes. You can get that there. I have to mention this. So this album, I mentioned this to Ivan in my conversation with him. Swing Your Lanterns. It's a great record, and I think the great thing about it is something that is mutually shared with the Rolling Stones' Sticky Fingers, according to what Ivan told me, is that it's a kind of a monumental piece of work. It has a lot of texture to it. It has a lot of things going on. It has a lot of variety to it. And that's kind of what I like most about that record, Swing Your Lanterns. And so I encourage you to go at least listen to it. And then if you listen to it and you enjoy it, by all means, buy the record. That's how it works. I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, all that we ask is that you please do all the things you do with the internet. Like, share, subscribe, comment, rate, review, all of those things. So again, thank you very much, folks. Enjoy. Yeah. Did you? I didn't interrupt anything, did I? Were you?
No,
busy?
I was just scraping tinsel off the floor to use for a video.
Oh. You're in your studio now?
Yeah, this is where I am. Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember the name of your studio right now.
Super Giraffe Sound.
Super Giraffe Sound. It looks amazing.
It's the glorious result of the fascination with junk and the misspent youth.
Yeah. But it looks beautiful, like artistically speaking too. Like the paint on the the paint job on the outside. Inside is obviously a gallery. It's just very eclectic. I love it.
Yeah, we're lucky to have the place. We're really lucky to have the place. We are. I mean, I knock on wood. Every time I think about it, because it's in Williamsburg and the real estate goes up here by the second.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, New York is not. I fear it to no end.
Yeah, where are you? May I ask?
Rhode Island.
Oh, cool. Well, you might. Yeah, it's kind of reasonable to live there. Things aren't too bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's getting bad everywhere, but I mean, here seems still fairly realistic and possible.
I don't know what they're thinking about people paying $4,000 a month for anything.
Yeah, I mean, without cost of living going up either. I mean, yeah, what is someone to do?
Yeah,
it's crazy. Well, I mean, I don't know. This is just the way the world works, I guess. I don't really know what to tell you about that.
Yeah, so true.
So, Ivan, it's an honor to have you here to speak with you, and I've been really looking forward to this. So just to kind of let you know, I mean, what I do here is I talk to typically musicians about an album that is influential to them, that they find important to, the art that they create. So I want to just go ahead and get right into it. You chose Rolling Stone's Sticky Fingers.
To me, that's the epitome of a perfect album.
Why is that?
Because the way it's the way it takes you through different emotions, the way it takes you through different tempos. It's much like a book where
Mm.
in the opening chords that kind of gets your attention to Moonlight Mile at the very end of the whole record. It takes you on a journey. It's like a being guided through a house with different rooms. And
Yeah.
a lot of albums try to do that, but that album, I think, I mean, just the songs, everything about it, the way it's recorded, the fact that a lot of it was done at Muscle Shoals, which is just a magical place to record, down
Yeah.
south.
Right.
And I never find myself tiring of this record, because I
Yeah.
mean, in all the different, I mean, you could say genres, but like all the different approaches they take as well.
Right. Right. So what I find interesting is that like I spoke with Mike Watt a while back now, but it was about like the album that he chose was Richard Hell and the Voidoids' Blank Generation.
Well, that's very nice of him.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it was great. It was a great conversation because, and it's funny because like so that talk that I have with him, I kind of remember just trying to tie in like what is the connection to punk and like how does that go on to influence this band that he was in, the Minutemen, to inspire another generation, many generations of people as well. I mean, what is it like for you to be part of a record that was also inspirational to a number of generations and even people like him, like Mike Watt?
Well, I mean, it's quite an honor actually, and it's something that you set out to do when you make a record. You hope that that the music will be perennial and let's like go on for as long as people want to listen to it. And I'm always
Mm.
amazed that even when 20-year-olds come up to me and talk about Blank Generation, it's something that we set out set out to do. We wanted to make a record that was compelling, that people would want to hear, not just then at the moment. It wasn't we didn't approach it as a punk record. We approached it as a rock and roll record, and we tried to do the best we could.
Right,
You know.
right. So, I mean, that's interesting because I think I actually remember asking him that same question. It was just like, well, did you set out to create something that was, just timeless and inspirational or generational or something?
Yeah, I mean, unconsciously, happens in happenstance. I mean, it
Right.
happened. I mean, yes, we do a lot. I think a lot of people try to do that. I mean, sometimes you achieve it, sometimes you don't. I mean, even on different records, but that's something that we did set out to do, to make something that would at least make your ears stand on end.
Yeah.
And and the songs were good, and I mean, and the flow, the sequence of the record was good. So I always thought that people would look at it and say, "Hey, that's a great record." I never thought that people would be talking about it, 40 years later. I mean,
Right.
you know, it,
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the thing is it's like, I mean, it's impossible to have that foresight, but I mean, you were proud of the work and you knew that it was something, something great.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Quine and my guitar playing, the way that weave together. I mean, and it was it was a very how can I say, a very strangely flavored drink, with Mark on drums and Richard playing bass and singing, and Bob and I. I mean, and we didn't fit the mold at all at the time, and we got kind of put aside by the record company because of that, because we weren't your normal looking or sounding rock and roll band.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, but punk was kind of coming up at that time. I mean, there was already, I think, I mean, I might get the timeline wrong, but I mean, I think that there were a few kind of like punk bands that we think of these days that were the trendsetters of the punk movement in New York. Like Blondie, Ramones,
Yeah,
bands
but
of
see,
that such.
that took a while to happen. I mean, I'm talking about in the inception of the whole thing,
Right.
when we all just first got signed. Okay. And it was about the same 6 months when everybody, all the bands you're talking about, and the Voidoids all got signed to one record label or the other.
Oh, okay.
And then it was time to play it for America.
Right.
And it was time for the record companies to sell it to America. And the Voidoids didn't really fit a lot of, their demographic that they were trying to reach. I mean,
Right.
some other bands did more. But still, we were definitely proud of the record. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that I think that's maybe where I got confused even speaking with Mike was that um there was no movement at that time. Like that was the beginning of all of it, really, for the most part.
Yeah, because I mean, you had to go through a certain kind of gauntlet. I mean, to get signed by a record company back in those days. You know that all of the bands from downtown and CBGB's, period didn't go through. I mean, the people came that the powers that be with the checkbooks came down and said that there was something happening and saw that there are police lines around the block to see us. So they
Mm,
thought, we want to be a part of that, like just like they did in Seattle and other places as well. I mean, they go there and they think, oh, something's happening here, and then to quote someone, and I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's happening, and
right.
that's what was going on then.
Right. There's something here we can make money on.
Well, they're in that business. I mean, and
Yeah.
the closer you get to it, the more you realize that these people could be selling shoes or hats, or umbrellas. I mean, very few of them had any kind of passion for music in the music they were selling. Not,
Right.
I won't say all, but very few did.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I'm sure that there were some that had some kind of morals to it and interest in what they were doing.
Yeah.
So now I think I find it interesting also that I guess I'm trying to think of like a time frame because like um let's see, like, so the album that you chose, Rolling Stone Sticky Fingers, came out in 71. You end up in the Voidoids and kind of starting that album around what year was that?
It would have been 76, 77.
76, 77. Okay. So so this music is not classic rock at this point. This is actually kind of relevant music at the time.
Sticky Fingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it had been 5 or 6 years. I mean, depending on where you lived, I mean, the country had gone through several trends by then. I mean, disco was starting, but yeah, it wasn't by any means classic rock. It was still relevant to some degree. I mean, if you could
Yeah.
talk to people about the record and they knew it, pretty much knew what you were talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because
I mean, and I cut my teeth on it as a musician because this year you're talking about, I was 15, 16 years old when this thing came out, and I
in
was learning to
71.
play so I was learning to play the guitar. So I mean, it had a huge influence on me, especially since a lot of the, I mean, guitar players then. This was like, just after the '60s, and a lot of the guitar players that were getting attention were thrashers and kind of fast note players and big solo players and all that. And here
Mm,
was a record where there wasn't much of that, but the songs were what stood out and made you want to hear it over and over again, more so than some of the others that were playing a million miles a minute.
right. Um, yeah, thinking about this record, I mean, like, so did you hear it when it came out in 71? That's the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what first attracted you to it at that time?
Um, well, it was a turning point for the Stones, because I mean they just released Beggar's Banquet, which caught my attention, and then Let It Bleed, which got my attention. They were headed in this kind of blues direction, which
Mm,
I mean I really love because I like to say when I was a teenager, most of the people I listened to were dead. I mean, and they
yeah.
were drawing this, as Keith Richards says, they took our culture and gave it back to us because we didn't know what to do with it, and that's exactly what they did on that record. And that's what really drew me to it. I mean, and I didn't think at the time that I would be it would become one of my favorite records. I thought this is a really good record. It was a really great trilogy transition from where they were with Satanic Majesty's Request and that whole thing. I mean, they really had to pull themselves out of a hole, and they did, with Jimmy Miller producing. So
Right.
and everything about it was it's kind of like Bowie in a way when he came out with Ziggy Stardust, and it was pressed on this Dynaflex vinyl that you could almost bend in half.
Oh
So
yeah.
everything about this release was new, in terms of Bowie. And the same thing with the Stones is like, Keith Richards is playing a clear guitar. There's slide guitar on the record. There's kind of this calypso thing. Yeah. So, I mean, it very fresh sounding at the time.
Hmm. Okay.
And people
Um,
talk about records that are made at Muscle Shoals that it has some kind of, mojo happening because of the mud and the river and all that. I mean, people love to go there to record.
Right, right. Well, the in-house players too. I mean, that's kind of like what made that studio as well.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Right. So,
depending on which studio you're talking about and whose story you believe and all that.
yeah, I guess that's true. But I mean, yeah, I mean, the studio itself is just kind of like proven to kind of just have some magic, and everybody that recorded there made something that was like
I
timeless for the
believe
most part.
the room is the the fifth person in the band. The room has a lot to do with the way things sound. I believe.
Oh, I'm sure of it. Absolutely. I mean, did you ever record there? Have you had any experience
No,
there?
I've never had the honor or privilege to go down there.
Right. Okay.
No, I'd like to, I'd like to. I mean, but I don't know what I mean. I don't know what my expectations would be.
I mean, at this point, yeah. I mean, do they actually still record even there?
I'm not sure. Excuse me. I'm not sure. A friend of mine paid for his sons to go down there and record. This was about 5 years ago, so I think they were open then.
Mm.
If you have enough money, you can. Like it's a recording studio. Anybody can go and record.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. So now let me think about something. Let's go back into the past a little bit. I mean, I kind of know quite a bit about you. I've done a lot of research. And so I kind of know a lot about your previous history, kind of like how you grew up and stuff. Where were you born?
I was born in Washington D.C.
Okay, it was in DC. But
Yeah,
you grew up son of a military man, Navy man, was it?
Navy man. Yeah, so
So
we
you
spent
did a lot of moving around.
a lot of moving around, and primarily we were in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
Right. Okay. And there was not a lot of music down there at the time that you were a child.
Well, no, because we weren't. I mean, the airways weren't allowed to reach the base, and then the radio station was controlled by the U.S. Navy. So the most pop we got was "On Top of Old Smoky"
Hmm.
by Burl Ives.
Right.
You know, so
So
I mean, I was searching, I was curious, but I didn't. There was just nothing there.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, so what was like music for you as a young person? I mean, when was the first time you kind of really found something that kind of spoke to you?
Well, before we went down, I mean, which was kind of 59, I think, or something like that. I had older cousins. And so they would listen to music, and I would listen to things like Leslie Gore,
Hmm.
and Buddy Holly. But I was a tiny child. I kind of have a vague memory of being there and hearing these things. I definitely remember hearing "It's My Party," and I'll cry if I want to while I was with her because she played it all the time. But what really happened was when I came back from Cuba, I was then like 10 years old or something like that. And the whole culture just hit me like a barrage, like especially the music culture, like so many different radio stations, so much different, so much music, so many different types of music being played on the same radio station, which made a big difference.
Hmm.
And I thought this is something I really want to know about. It just really uh, caught my curiosity and made me want to know everything about it and even be part of it somehow.
Yeah. Okay. And so when do you find the Stones?
Um, there was a drugstore, and that's where you bought your LPs back then. And like
Oh, right.
the rack jobbers would have the records there, and they had a copy of High Tide's Green Grass, okay, which was the Stones' greatest hits album. All right,
Oh,
had a
okay.
satisfaction on it and all that, and it was like $3.29, and I thought, oh God, how am I ever going to afford this? Because I had bought some singles, but I thought this is like astronomical. But the cover just completely freaked me out. I thought these are the weirdest looking people I've ever seen in my life. Not really having heard that much, except maybe I can't get no satisfaction. Then after I'd somehow saved money and bought the record, I was captured by the snare drum sound. That's when I really started to realize the recorded sounds of different instruments. The
Hmm.
snare drum sound really got to me. I thought, how do they get a drum to sound like that? And yeah, I just loved the way it sounded. It's funny, later on, when I was exposed to the Beatles and the Stones, you could always tell which one's record was coming on the radio because the Beatles were in tune and the Stones weren't.
Yeah,
Funny.
huh? That's so weird. I actually have a quote here from Andy Johns, Glenn Johns' brother,
Yeah, yeah.
about recording the Stones. He says the whole thing with the Stones is the groove. They might settle into a groove. They might start to get a groove going, but what they're looking for the whole time is that fucking Rolling Stones groove. But it's driving you nutty because they are so good, but they can sound like the worst fucking band in the world. Keith can be out of tune, Charlie can miss a beat, everyone will play too loud, and Wyman will give up in frustration. But when they do the take, everything converges into one.
Yeah, I've heard that quote before. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what attracted them to me as well, is the groove. They have, I mean, it's like this. I mean, a lot of it was maracas and Charlie's drum playing, which was, phenomenal for that band, or for any band actually, if you listen to them. I mean, and they every song had this kind of, sultry groove about it, whether it was fast or slow.
Right, yeah.
But Wyman's bass parts were great as well. Mother's Little Helper, that bass part where he slides all over the place, that boom, 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 woo. That's so cool.
Right, yeah, so weird. And so kind of, I don't want to say influential. I want to say like that it was like otherworldly because of at the time, right? I mean, like these guys are forefathers of kind of like what rock music really becomes,
Yeah.
you know. So they're kind of like the first to be doing these things, and and it derives from the blues mostly. I mean, were you a blues fan at the time?
Absolutely, because of the Stones, I would read interviews and find out, well, who's he listening to? Where is he getting this? And I mean, he's listening to Muddy Waters, he's listening to Howlin' Wolf, he's listening to Hubert Sumlin and Willie Johnson and all these guitar players that no one in the States knew about anymore, even though they had R&B hits in the '50s, and that's and I could go on. I mean, but
Right.
you just you anything that you study and you work at, you should really study the history to find out the essence of it. I mean, you can go back to Fletcher Henderson and Louis Armstrong, playing with him. You go to Charlie Christian, allegedly the grandfather of the electric guitar. His stuff is great. Quan and I, we used to sit and just figure out like 2 bars of the solo he would do, and try to use it somehow. I mean, because it was just so astronomically great. Yeah. So yeah, so that's how I got into the blues. I mean, and also I have to say, I had a friend. His name was Abad Baram, and he was from India, and he had a whole different. To him, how can I say, there wasn't a division in what he listened to, because to him it was a natural progression. Being from India and living here, that the Stones learned from the blues, and there were all these great blues players. Hound Dog Taylor, all that. So and he was a good friend of mine as well, growing up. Him and Ted Nicely, that produced Fugazi.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I heard about
We all
him.
went to the same high school. You know what?
Really?
Here, Bad Brains, HR, Ted, and I all went to the same high school, Central High School, in Seat Pleasant, Maryland.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Small world, I guess, huh?
Why you got to behave?
So, let me see. So now you said something that kind of like led me to wonder. That's kind of why I do this show, is to try to kind of like follow the timeline, kind of follow the through lines of not only like music history, but like inspiration. Like why is it that these blues players back in the 50s and 60s inspired people like the Rolling Stones, like end up catching your ear, and you go on and kind of like make your own thing out of what they do and so forth. So I mean, it's kind of like that's kind of I'm kind of like learning as I go, as far
Well,
as
let me
like
tell you something about that whole um, uh, journey. I mean, part of it. Later
Sure.
on, I met Giorgio Gamelski.
Yes, I
Um,
heard about that.
Yeah, who used to manage the Stones and the Yardbirds as well. And Giorgio was the one, I mean, who had all these records and turned them on to all this old great blues stuff. I mean, I don't know if it's true anymore, but I mean, there was a time when you could go into record shops in London and France and find things, American records, you would never find here, of all genres. But anyway,
Hmm.
he turned them on to, all the old blues stuff, and convinced them to become a blues band. And then he had a falling out with them. This is according to Giorgio, because they started dancing around and moving, and Giorgio wanted them to sit down like the old blues guys. I'm sure there were other things, I think, factors at play as well. But yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, he's the one who supplied them with the records and let them know what was going on.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's got to be somebody, right? There's always somebody,
Yeah, yeah.
whether
There's
it's,
always a mentor. Is you just don't like, I mean,
yeah,
sometimes you hap upon things. I mean, but usually there's someone that kind of guides you. I mean, and helps you go in the right direction or
right,
look in the
right.
right direction.
So who could you say might have been your mentor?
I have to say Abad. I have to say Abad because I was playing all this stuff from kind of a, I don't know, um, an American perspective. I was, learning all these songs, and he basically said, "No, you're missing the whole point." I mean, this is when I was like 16. He said, "You're just missing the whole point." And I mean, he was a really great guitar player, and still is a great guitar player as well. And he let me know about the nuance of what the riff is trying to say. I mean, the open tunings. How you can only play this in an open tuning for it to make sense. These
Hmm.
kind of things. I would have to say him, and Giorgio to some degree, because Giorgio turned me on to African music and Fela Kuti. Because this is what he was listening to at the time.
Hmm.
And yeah, but mainly Abad, and if I had another mentor, it would be Giorgio. Um,
Yeah. How did you
yeah.
meet Giorgio?
God, I can't remember. Um,
Was it
I
in the
really
States or was it in the is
No, it was
in
in
the
New York.
UK?
He had a loft. He had a loft here, and we started for. I don't know. I can't remember how I actually met him. I could have been at the Ocean Club or one of those clubs downtown, but he had a building that had 3 floors, and he let us rehearse in his basement.
Hmm.
And then we became friends from then on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
He
that's funny you asked that question because I can't really remember the first time I met him. But
Well, this is a really long time ago. This is obviously before you even went to London to find work, music work, right?
no, this is after the
Oh,
Voidoid. I should
oh,
remember
after
this.
the Voidoids. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I remember London, so I should remember this. I just can't remember the first time we actually met.
Oh, okay. So then when you're meeting him, he had already managed the Stones.
He had already managed the Stones. He had already managed the Yardbirds. He had moved from Europe to New York City
Okay, all right.
and
So did
become somewhat of an impresario for different events and things.
yeah, yeah. So did you ever get an opportunity to meet the Stones at any point?
I met Keith a couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's kind of like meeting your idols. He was great. Don't get me wrong. There was nothing negative about it. I was just too nervous to have it mean anything, be
Right, right.
worthwhile. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about meeting celebrities or people that you just admire and respect is that sometimes I have the same problem too. I mean, even having these conversations, I sometimes feel like I'm a stumbling idiot, but I mean, it's all out of love. It's all out of respect. I mean,
No, it's true. But this was a guy. I mean, I held solely responsible for pretty much rock and roll at the time and my guitar playing. I mean, and we were thrust in we were in an elevator together all of a sudden, and I'm like, and I'm looking down at the floor and I see this boots and I look up and I go further and my head goes up and I go, oh shit. And we were going to the same party and I said, actually what I said to him was like, you've been such a huge influence on my playing and I want to thank you. And he goes, I have a habit of doing that. That was his response.
that's hey, I mean, coming from Keith, that's kind of what you come to expect.
Exactly, and then I had nothing else to say, but yeah, yeah. So he's the only one I've met.
Cool. Oh, wow. That's great. I mean, hey, I mean, I don't know how you feel. I mean, obviously meeting idols and stuff, it's kind of like a weird thing, but you had the experience at least, you know, that's pretty impressive because not many people get to.
No, it's true. It's true. And whatever your field is, to meet the person that is like you consider your mentor. Not many people get to meet them and have it be a positive experience at that. You know.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that he just wasn't like, he wasn't a dick, you know? I mean, because he gets it all the time, I'm sure. So I mean, like you have to kind of expect it, but it's nice that he's respectful, you know?
Yeah, yeah. He seemed like he is. I mean, yeah, yeah. No reason not to think not.
Right. All right. Well, I think we should probably just try to go ahead and get through this record a little bit. I kind of just do a little track by track analysis and maybe have a question for you by per song, if that's
Okay.
cool. So the record starts off with the song Brown Sugar, which I have a problem, or at least I actually don't have anything for this song written down for me to ask you about because in my research, I don't know how well you know the lyrical content of this song.
Yeah, I know it very well.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of controversial, the song, like, especially now, like
Yeah, especially now, but he's writing from a perspective, it's a song and he's writing from a perspective. He's not, glorifying it or anything. He's just documenting what happened back then, you
right,
know, English blood runs hot, lady on the house wondering when it's going to stop. I mean, yeah, I mean, hearing whip the women just around midnight. These are things that happened.
right.
It's not like he's, glorifying it, going, "Oh, this is so great." It's like it's to me, it's an amazingly lyrical song. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. But then also, I mean, it's also kind of his own fascination, right? I mean, because even like by the third verse, I believe it is, where he kind of says he should have heard me around midnight, right? Because he's kind of like, admitting how he likes dark women.
well, yeah, nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. I mean,
I mean, because I'm aware even then, of the flack and he got for especially that song and the controversy surrounding it. I mean, in interviews and stuff. And I thought about it then, and I think about it, even today, and I mean, I think you could find controversy in anything if you dig deep enough, or if you want to take it from that angle. But to me, I don't know him, and I don't know how he wrote the song. I mean, I'm pretty sure he didn't write it from a racist perspective.
oh yeah, I don't think it's racist at all. I mean, I think he's like you were saying, just kind of calling out some facts, just kind of like, this is what happened, this is what was going on, in our country, in the United States.
Yeah.
And then even still admitting his own kind of, fascination with darker women, as a white
And in the
person.
South, see, people don't understand that. Like in the early days of their touring, they spent a lot of time down south,
Mm,
absorbing culture and making good friends and stuff like that that they still have to this day. So, I mean, they probably know more about the American South than most Americans do.
sure, sure,
You know?
yeah. I mean, a lot of their idols come from there. I mean, a lot of the blues musicians,
Yeah.
so forth. Yeah. I mean, so I mean, yeah, nothing really to say there, I don't think, because there's nothing I really want to tackle about it, but it's a great song nonetheless.
I love the guitar part, and I just learned recently that Jagger wrote the part. I always thought that was classic Keith Richards, but
Yeah.
yeah, but it's evidently Jagger, and it really like it's really like driving a stick shift the way that song goes about. I love it.
Mm, yeah, it's very, very catchy. Great song. So then that leads into the next song, Sway. So let me see. I have some sample lyrics here. One of them says, "Do you ever wake up to find a day that broke up your mind, destroying your notion of circular time?" So, I mean, with thinking about those lyrics, because like I couldn't find any information about the song, about the recording or the writing of it that, had any kind of like information regarding like, what it's about or anything like that. So, with it being hard to say what the song is about, it certainly just seems heavy, like a heavy song.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you look at Jagger's songs every once in a while, and I'll try to think of another one, he does always touch on like going through a hard time. I mean, just
Mm,
kind of just like the evil eyes got you in its way. It's just like kind of like going through this lull, this valley of bad luck. He does that in other songs as well.
yeah, yeah. Um, So this is one of the songs that makes me think about the universality of music, but how it can also be incredibly personal, right? Depending on like kind of how you take a song. Um, can you tell me about a song either on this album or anyone that comes to mind that really hits you in the heart?
Um. Well, on this album, I'd have to say Moonlight Mile.
Hmm.
Okay. And other than that, I'd have to say Greenville by
Greenville?
Lucinda Williams.
Oh, okay.
Almost everything she sings hits me in the heart. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine. I mean, like, are you, I mean, is it that's something that you kind of like look for in music? I mean, I don't know what it is like for you, like when you find a new record, like how you kind of consume it and like, do you are you like, when you listen to something, do you think about how is it affecting me? Like, how is this making me feel? Or is it just kind of like a wash over you?
No, I'm thinking that it's making me feel.
Yeah. And it depends on
That,
what music that is and what that.
yeah, that it's making that it is making me feel. For instance, I mean, when I first heard Portishead, it just a dummy, it just blew me away. It just
Mm,
completely blew me away, and it made me feel. It made me think, okay, I have to go back there and find out, why this is doing this to me. Same thing with this guy. Unfortunately, and I hate to admit my ignorance, but I just discovered him, Towns Van Zandt.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Jeez, man, what a songwriter! You
Yeah.
know, I
Right.
mean, I heard that and I listened like I don't know these 5 or 6 times to this record. It's like it just blew me away. Yeah.
Right.
So to answer your question, it has to make me feel, or it has to make me feel some way, whether it's happy or sad or whatever, or in wonderment. But it has to be able to reach inside me.
Yeah. And do you find it like it happens on the first listen, or do you feel like you need to listen to something again?
It depends on the record.
Right.
It depends on the record. Okay, for instance, here's a good example. PJ Harvey's Desire.
Hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
the one that came after Bringing You My Love. At first, I really didn't care for that record. I thought, it doesn't sound like the other one. It's weird. And then after the third or fourth listen, I couldn't stop listening to it. And I'm sure other people have that experience for some records as well. But yeah,
Mm.
I mean, so it's not always the first time. Sometimes but then again, I do give it a second chance, or a third chance or something. I never just listen to something and go, oh, that's garbage, unless, well, maybe sometimes I do, but
Yeah.
I try not to anyway.
Right. Sure. Sure. It's hard sometimes to like, think like I got to give this a second chance. I mean, like unless it comes kind of like highly recommended and you don't get it the first time, most likely I think the second or third listen is probably going to go down the road. So at some point, yeah.
Well, that song I mentioned, Greenville, is a perfect example of that because that's on an album called Dirt Wheels on a Gravel Road.
Hmm.
And I listened to it the first time and I just thought, well, this is awful. I mean, and then for some reason, I listened to the second side and that's where that song is, and plus a couple of other songs that are just mind blowing. And then I learned that there were two producers on the record. One
Hmm.
produced like kind of the first couple of songs, and one produced the other songs. And it took 2 years to make the record. And had I not gone back and listened to the rest of the record, then I still would not know about that and think it was, not enough up to par record.
Right. Yeah. How interesting. Um, so now speaking of music that really hits you in the heart, what about your music? Like like which song, let's just narrow this down to your new album, Swing Your Lanterns.
Hmm.
Which song on your new album do you feel like hits you the most?
They all hit me different ways. I mean, I would say I'm Not a Drone Alone,
Hmm, that's a good one. I like that one.
because it really speaks to the problems we're going right through right now with just how we've trashed our planet and how it's getting back at us. Which is
Yeah.
why I'm wearing glasses because I now have allergies where I never had them before in my life. It's like the Earth is saying, you know what, screw you guys, okay?
She's trying to get rid of us. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's the one thing. This is kind of off the track, but this one thing I find fascinating about drones and like that fly, because it really makes us look like the insects that we are. Kind of just scurrying around, blowing
Hmm.
things up.
Right.
Pissing in the rivers.
Yeah. Yeah. We just have we're just mindless. We're just needless. Like, well, what is our point?
Yeah, sometimes you think that's true. I mean, then again, we do have some kind of survival salvation factor built in our DNA that kind of keeps us going somehow. I don't know.
Hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, obviously, absolutely. I mean, like we have no, we can't help but to try to keep ourselves alive,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Even at the detriment of our planet.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, and others because now they're discussing. Well, let's go mine the moon. That's going to turn out fine.
Oh my
You know.
God. Let's ruin the whole universe. Fuck this
Exactly.
planet. We've gotten just about everything we can out of this planet. Let's just go to other ones. You know.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's move on to Wild Horses. How about that?
It's a beautiful song. It's of course, a beautiful song. Keith wrote it about his daughter being born and having to go on the road, but it's just a beautiful song influenced by country music. Which again, when you hear that, it makes you go, well, okay, let's talk about George Jones. Let's talk about early Hank Williams recordings. Let's go listen to that. Now that we've had this, as kind of a badge, let's go find out about the country music and all these things, and let's try to play some of it and try to learn some of it. And as a musician, the B minor to G is just opens your heart.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. I'll have to try to learn how to play this song. I don't do covers very often, but sometimes, you hear a song and you're just like, I really wish I knew how to play that.
That's the thing about that album, except for maybe the open tuning stuff, which is easy if you tune your guitar open. Most of it's really easy to play.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
well is another thing, but you can definitely figure out what's going on.
Yeah, well, maybe you can. I don't know about me. I'm not that good. So let's see, Wild Horses. I have this quote from Keith Richards from his book Life. The quote says, "It was one of those magical moments when things come together. It's like satisfaction. You just dream it and suddenly it's all in your hands. Once you've got the vision in your mind of wild horses, I mean, what's the next phrase you're going to use? It's got to be, couldn't drag me away."
That's very key.
Yeah. So, and then he goes on to say something along the lines of how sometimes a song seems to write itself. Have you had any experience like that recording this new album?
Oh yeah. The other song I was going to mention is the one that that kind of touches me is "Love Affair." I mean, it just came about. I mean, the chords and the lyrics just came together. I was writing a song about a breakup of a relationship. I mean, but I wanted it to be the ultimate song about the breakup of a relationship and how both people are feeling, not just one. And it just came. The chords came, everything came, So yeah, sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes sometimes you gotta go find it, but sometimes it does come to you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember who said it. Something about just kind of like, writing music is kind of like receiving signals from a muse, and you just have to kind of
Absolutely.
keep your antenna open to receive it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny. I solely believe that we're just channeled. I mean, sometimes to kind of put these things down, whether anybody hears them or not. I mean, but I mean, I find in the best case scenario, it's not necessarily coming from within. It's coming from somewhere else.
Right, right.
You know.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting. Yeah, I can't remember who said that now that I say it, but I know I've heard it.
I believe you.
All right, so next song, "Can't You Hear Me Knocking?"
What a great riff.
Fucking crazy riff.
Crazy riff. I mean, and it just. I mean, you know what? And I've learned to play that song over the years, and found out thought I was playing it right. Found out I was playing it completely wrong. It's much simpler than I thought it was. Especially that middle break, and it's. I don't know who they're paying homage to on that. It's like I want to say Little Richard, but I mean musically it has nothing to do with that.
It's kind of one of those weird like hybrids, right? Like, that it's inspired by the blues, right? But
Yeah,
it's like the way that they do it, it's got a different kind of like funky take to it, and it's just so grungy and like dirty.
yeah, exactly. And then it ends with this kind of I don't know, West Coast kind of riff that boom 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 boom.
Oh,
It's
right.
just kind of like it's something that maybe Jerry Garcia would play or something. It's got everything that song. And it has congas that they're playing. It takes you somewhere else. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder. I wonder how much Jimmy Miller was responsible for that. But yeah, it's just a great song, and it's a different song rather than it just being verse chorus, solo. So it's good to have it in there like that.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
at the time, thinking about it, I mean, this was a period where most bands were doing jam sessions. So so therefore they'd have a record and they'd have like a 20-minute jam in the middle of the song or something like that. And the
Hmm.
Stones kind of touched on that. They said, "Oh, well, here's a 30-second jam in the middle of a song without it going on and on.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Um, so let me see. So this song, I mean, not much to say about it, but that riff is just so catchy. It's infectious. It's dirty. It's groovy. It's all of the things you want. Um, can you think of a song or maybe another riff that makes you want to like fuck or fight more than this song? Like depending on like I don't know how it hits you, but it's like it's got to be one of those two like extremes.
Um, Two. One of them is "Hey Hey Hey Hey" by Little Richard.
Hmm.
You know,
Okay.
it's on the backside of Kansas City. I mean, it's a breakneck tempo. I don't know how they recorded it because everything sounds like it's on fire, and it just makes you want to go like smash some window or something. It's just the total riot song.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely one because when I first heard that I thought, I heard it in the '60s. I thought, how could people have heard this in the '50s and not go crazy? You know, it's just it makes you want to just go nuts.
Yeah. I think some people in his audience did.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of going nuts, you know what? I don't think I have a question for you about this, but I know that that you spent time and recorded on the Sandinista record with the Clash.
Hmm.
Um, I only have to ask because I'm a huge Clash fan. Did you spend time in the Spliff bunker with them?
No.
Okay, that's unfortunate, I guess, kind of. I mean,
So when would that have been?
well, I mean, because I remember like hearing interviews with Joe Strummer and say how like some of the guys they like to smoke reefer or whatever, and so like that they designated a spot to it because that wasn't something that should be in the studio like while they're trying to work. So they were like, you go to the Spliff bunker.
No, I mean we in England we might have done something like that, but no, there we were just no. I think they
Yeah,
might have kind of trashed that law by the time I got here there because I don't remember anybody going to any bunker.
yeah. Okay, yeah, because I just know that that was just I think it was his idea to just to kind of like keep anything like that away from when you're working. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know what that environment was like at Electric Lady Studios.
Well, they basically just camped out for 2 months. So, I mean, any kind of laws would have gone by the wayside after a while and then people become laxed, because
Hmm,
back when you could do such a thing, they just like were there every day and, for
wild.
2 months. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. So I don't have something for every song. Like the next song, You Gotta Move. Don't have anything for it. Kind of just wanted to skip it because I don't know. It's just not really one of the highlights of the record, I feel.
It's Mississippi Fred McDowell. It's a great riff. If you've played slide guitar, it's a great riff. The lyrics are great because if you've ever been forced to move, it really means something entirely different to you.
Okay.
It's like I mean, when you don't have control over your life, and that song always comes to mind when I'm in periods like that. And then yeah. So and the riff itself is just kind of evil. It's just evil sounding. But anyway, this
Right,
is.
right. It's a cover though. It's not their song.
No, it's not their song. Like I said, it's
Right.
an old blues song by Mississippi Fred McDowell. And what else is great about it is that they gave him credit on the record, which a lot of other English guys weren't doing at the time.
Hmm.
You know, I mean,
Right.
they weren't giving people credit, and they were saying they wrote this and they wrote that, and they didn't write anything. But the Stones did give McDowell credit for that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you did say something that's interesting that I was not kind of putting together when I was listening to that song is that that like that something that motivates you to move, right? Like and in this circumstance it's music, So you listen to something that kind of uh moves you beyond your control to move. And that I guess you mean by that dancing, right?
No, it's not dancing at all. You may be high, you may be low, you may be rich, child, you may be poor, but when the Lord gets ready, you got to move.
Oh,
See what I mean?
okay.
When it's time for you, to get going, then you got to get going whether you want to or not. I don't think it has anything to do with dancing. I mean, I didn't write the
Oh.
song. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Well, because I mean, it just speaks to something else I've talked about with somebody recently, where we talked about how music can kind of how you can get lost in it, and like you can end up just kind of being overcome by it subconsciously, and you just kind of do whatever it is that happens, whether it's dancing or whether it's you destroy things or whatever. That's what we were talking about. Like they ended up destroying things. They were like breaking chairs in the venue they were playing.
Hmm.
So I mean that's an interesting thing where I wasn't kind of thinking about that for this song.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, but the fact that it was written by this blues guy, just and the lyrics as well, just tell me that it's about you not having control. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You
On
know.
a higher level though, something kind of
Yeah.
more. Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that insight with me. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Something like.
So all right, let's move on to the next song on the second side of the album, "Bitch." So a quote in the song is, "It must be love. It's a bitch." Great song. I mean, it's so energetic, so just crazy rock song. It's beautiful. I love it.
Also, I mean, one of the reasons I think this album is so great, that in terms of vinyl, what a great way to start the second side.
Oh yeah, right.
I mean, it's a completely different groove than the first side. I mean, any song on the first side, it's just immediately like brings you in and you just go, whoa, you know, now I'm here, now I'm
Right.
hit.
Yeah, I want to hear the next thing.
Exactly.
um, so bitch, with thinking about that quote from the song, is love a bitch or is love good according to your new song on your new album?
Well, it depends on which type of love you're talking about. I mean, loving, you know, people and loving what you do um, uh, is good. Um, Being in love, which I guess would that make it a verb?
Sure.
That's something entirely different.
And that can be a bitch.
That can be a bitch, yes.
Right.
With anybody, or I mean, yeah, it's it can just be relationships. Are challenging as we evolve or de-evolve as people. I mean, you go through. Now, I'm not saying you're bad or impossible, but it's like you go through different phases, and if you're
Yeah.
sometimes you go together, and sometimes you don't.
And it's just kind of hard to find whether or not that is the case, whether or not you are compatible with that person. And sometimes that is what is the bitch.
Well, yeah. Well, also, I mean, on a much more blatant level, it's like I I don't understand really what compatibility is, because I know a lot of people, and I've always observed this, like couples that have been together forever, for 30, 40 years,
Mm.
and all they do is like yell at each other, but they love it. Is that compatibility? I mean, I wouldn't want to be in a relationship like that, but they do, and it seems like it's it propels them on into the future or something. Not
Yeah.
all couples are like that. I just noticed that one. That's just an observation I have, that like, yeah, there are certain things that keep relationships going for a long time.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I mean, like, I'm married. I've been married for 14 years almost, come
Yay.
this October. And, and it's been a slog. I mean, it hasn't been easy. I mean, it's just like we don't fight constantly, but I mean, we do fight. But it's just like I kind of like, I guess I think about that point, like, well, what is the point of this? Like, if we're just gonna fight, you reach that point. It's just like, why are we even together if we're just gonna fight? Like, why can't we just kind of live harmoniously, kind of like, together, and like, I don't know. Well, it's eternal, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think there's a species on Earth that you know exists, in couples and in relationship without some kind of dynamic, like happening. I
Right.
mean, it's like it's just kind of who we are as animals, I guess. I don't know. What is it? Doves mate for life. I don't know if they have arguments or not. It's
Right.
something.
No, I don't know if I've ever seen them argue, but I would love to know if they do, and I'd love to know their secret if they don't.
Plus, I mean, marriage. I mean, I've been married. It's difficult in the culture we live in right now, because I mean, it's things are complex,
Sure.
and there's a lot of demands on people individually as well. I mean, and a lot of different changes, that they have to go through in order to kind of exist in this culture we live in. I
Yeah.
mean, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is like maybe if the culture is simpler, then the relationship is easier. I don't know. I don't know the answer to this question.
Well, I mean, because it's been, I mean, ever since man, where there has
Yeah.
been relationships. So, I mean, I don't know if it's so much cultural as it is just like the dynamic between people,
Well, yeah. Right.
and I don't know. It's just so hard. It is a bitch, isn't it?
No, it is a bitch sometimes, but then again, there are other times when it makes up for the fact that it's
Yes.
a bitch, and that's what keeps you there. If it's just a
Right.
total bitch, then it's sooner or later something's got to give.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, with that, like he says, it's a bitch, and what's the definition of that in these terms? It means something that like difficult and hard and not easy to get on with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we still try.
Yeah. Also, another note on this song, which I love from a musician standpoint, Keith does this kind of B.B. King thing where he just goes, "Da-da." There's two notes, and it says volumes. It speaks
Yeah.
volumes, this whole thing. He not like all over the place. He just goes, "Da-da." There's two little notes, and it just makes the whole song great.
Really? Where is that?
It's in the breaks when the horns come in.
Okay.
Ah,
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I gotta listen for that because I don't know if I've noticed it. It's interesting though, the little things, how the little things kind of like make all the difference.
I always look for that, and I'm always surprised that I mean, they're always in there somewhere, whether I'm looking or not. I mean, there's things like I love it when I hear songs and things come out little tiny gestures, let's call them, and I never heard them or even knew they were there.
Right. Yeah. And when it hits you, it's just like, oh, that's beautiful. Oh my
Yeah.
God. That's great.
There's a song. Well, I know we're talking about this album, but I just want to go off for a second.
Sure.
There's a Turtle song called "She's My Girl."
Okay.
Anyway, I can't really sing as good as him, but in the verse, the guitar just goes chunk, and that's it. Listen to it sometime. It's like a Turtle song called "She's My Girl," and it's a great song. It's like their harmonies, their vocals are amazing, but there's only one guitar hit in the verse, and I thought, how cool is that?
Yeah.
you
Weird.
know.
What album is that on?
Greatest hits. I'm not sure
Oh,
which,
okay.
because like they released tons of singles, so it would be on a greatest hits album.
All right. All right. Because I know I have one of theirs in the house right now, actually. But
Yeah, it's one of their biggest hits, so it's probably on it.
all right. I'll take a look. All right. Let's keep on moving. We're gonna skip I Got the Blues just because I don't have anything for it.
Okay.
Move on to Sister Morphine. This is a weird song, right? Because like, how do I say that exactly? This song is confusing to a lot of people. It's been kind of like interpreted in many different ways, right?
Yeah.
Let me start with you. Like, what is your interpretation, or what does this song do for you?
Well, I mean, to me, it it brings to light how you can become how when you're lying in a hospital bed and your only salvation is getting a shot of morphine and to kill the pain, when you're in a lot of pain. And this was the case, especially post-war 50s and all that, when it was they didn't have all these opioids and like man-made uh, opium products. I mean, it was this morphine, and when you would in pain in the hospital, that's what they gave you with a big syringe. That's what I always envision when I see that.
Yeah.
The scream of the ambulance is sounding in my ear. It's like, I mean, this is like being in an accident and needing a drug to make you feel normal.
Or just get rid of your pain.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right. Right.
Hopefully getting rid of your pain is normal.
Well, because I mean, like an addict might use morphine just for recreational use. I mean, well, morphine's a little strong, but I guess some kind of opiate, right?
Yeah, well, an addict would do that, but to me, this isn't, even though whatever. I mean, but this isn't from the perspective of an addict. This is from the perspective of a patient.
Right.
You know?
Right. Right. And so, I mean, keeping that in mind and referring to what you're talking about. I know that you have uh, suffered cancer,
Yeah.
and you are doing better, I guess, right? I mean, you're not currently in treatment, or
No, I'm not in treatment. I go back every 3 months and get all kind of scans, and and drink all kinds of weird fluids so they can see things inside. But so far I'm good. I mean, and that's why I mean but when I was recovering from the chemo and radiation, I totally understood that song Sister Morphine, because there are some pains that are just like unbearable.
right?
I mean, it's incredibly unbearable. And yeah, I'll talk about this. I mean, they gave me like Oxycontin and all this stuff, and I said, well, now I feel sick and weird, so I don't want this. Okay, I mean, I'm a
Yeah,
musician. I know this is street. Okay, so and with all the things, they gave me morphine, and it was great. What
yeah.
really made me feel, it took away all the pain. I mean, and made me feel like not that I was kind of sick, but normal, was pot.
Oh yeah. I,
Seriously, I mean, I was trying everything, and I'm not really a big pot smoker these days, but someone brought me some, and I went, I didn't even get high. I just felt like my normal self. I went, this is
hmm,
great, Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I'm a proponent to it, honestly. I mean, especially as medicine, that's great. If it can do as good, if not better, than any kind of like um Oxycontin or morphine or synthetic drug, by all means. I think it's great.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not exaggerating about that either. It was the one thing with of all the drugs that they prescribed for me that really took away the pain and made me feel normal.
Yeah, that's great. Um, so aside from pot, I mean, I think I was liking to think about music in this circumstance. So, if you were so ill, and I know that you were bedridden for quite some time, was there any music that you sought out or looked to for comfort in that time?
There's two things when I'm really going through a hard time, I always do. One of them is listen to Blonde on Blonde nonstop. I don't know why.
Okay, that's
You
great.
know. And the other one and especially when they would put me into the tube to get the radiation treatments, you get to choose whatever music you want to hear, and I would choose Chopin's Preludes, which are great, like Opus number 28. It's like amazing, amazing stuff. Chopin to me reminds me of Hendrix when you
Yeah,
listen to him, especially when you listen to his solo piano playing. It's just he's like soaring, and kind of taking it to all different tempos. So
really.
those two things, I would say, yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's great. Blonde on Blonde, I know. Chopin, I need to get into.
Yeah. Just look up Chopin's. If you can write this down, Chopin's Preludes played by Howard Shelley, because that's the problem with a lot of classical music, is that a lot of different people play it, and not all of
Oh
them
yeah.
play it well. I mean,
Right.
this guy Howard Shelley really, I think he got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll look for it. Moving on to the next song, Dead Flowers. Um, so Dead Flowers, I don't know. Tell me if you think I'm wrong here. But during the chorus, does it sound to you like the singer has this weird confrontational relationship with the character in this song? It's kind of like he's saying he needs to kill them with kindness type thing, right? Like
Well, he's kind of
the
mocking
lyrics.
them throughout. He's mocking them throughout the whole song. When you're sitting there in your self-upholstered chair, talking to some rich folks that you know. You
Yeah.
know.
Right. But then the chorus, it's like, and then you can send me dead flowers every morning, send me dead flowers by the mail, send me dead flowers to my wedding, and so forth. And then he ends it with, I won't forget to put roses on your grave.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this thing where it's just like, I kind of say it like killing me with kindness, but it's something where it's just like, no matter how much you want to disrespect me, how much you want to hurt me, um, I'm going to give you this kind of like moment of grace or something like that, this pass of some sort, right?
Well, I mean, you could say that, but this is also kind of a country music narrative slash blues narrative where, you can be as bad as you want to, but I'm going to outlive you and put roses on your grave or dance on your
Oh,
grave or whatever.
I see.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to win. I get the last laugh.
Right. Okay, all right. Well, because so I mean, with me thinking about the whole killing him with kindness type of thing, I was thinking that like the music business can be a sticky one, with a lot of big egos and contention in it, right?
Hmm.
Um, I get a vibe from you that maybe that's the way you would deal with a situation, you know, like kind of kill somebody with kindness.
Oh, let me think about that.
Maybe I'm wrong.
There were
I don't know.
periods in my life. No, 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 not necessarily. I don't have time for that anymore. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, um, I've never come off as a kind of aggressive, violent individual, but I do defend myself. So, and if I were to do that, it would be so sardonic and so sarcastic. You know, I mean, and which would means I have just absolutely no respect for you that I can't even confront you.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Um, I mean, is there any circumstance you can think about where it was kind of something like that, like in the music business, kind of particularly?
In the music business, oh, well, this wasn't really me killing them with kindness, but in a way it was because I completely ignored them. I was at a very fancy restaurant, and there's two guys and I'm in the men's room, and there's two guys at the urinal, and they're talking, and one goes to the other. Punk rock started in Japan. This guy went to Japan and saw the Japanese guys playing punk and took it back to England, and that's how the Sex Pistols got their start. And I'm just
Okay.
thinking, okay, do I say something? No, they're too far gone. It's not they're not worthy. Just like so
Right.
that's like in a sense that was kindness because I ignored them.
Right. Right. And plus, I mean, if you did get into it, you'd end up in this whole long ordeal of an argument, right? That like you don't want to have.
I don't want to have an argument about fact.
Right. I mean, it's just like you'd be arguing your point to somebody that's just it's just pointless to have this discussion with them. You know,
Exactly.
obviously they're not music fans, they're not, kind of music literate to a degree.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, I do have an obligation to the truth, and I could have tried to set them straight, but I could, like, like I said, I mean, they're just not worthy of it. I mean, if they, who would think such a thing? I mean, it's like, what a or
Why?
premise, I mean, God.
All right. Um, moving on to the last song, Moonlight Mile. I have a quote here from Mick Jagger. The feeling I had at the moment was how difficult it was to be touring and how I wasn't looking forward to going out and doing it again. It was a very lonely thing, and my lyrics reflected that. Is that kind of how you interpret the song?
It's one of my favorite songs to listen to when I'm touring in a bus and doing 10, 15 hour drives across the Midwest at night. It's
Hmm.
just it's a very lonely song, and I mean it's kind of comforts you when you hear it. That's what comes to mind even before I started touring. I pictured like driving somewhere at night under the stars and like and just knowing that you're going to be doing this for a while. So it's
Right.
just kind of a lonely song, but also it's a beautiful song too. I mean the melody, the guitar part, it's really really beautiful. I mean everything about it.
Yeah. No, I love this song. I mean, it's such like I'm not incredibly familiar with this record. Like, when you chose it, I kind of got into it and started listening to it more and more. And I certainly know a lot of these songs, but this one I wasn't so familiar with, and it
Hmm.
definitely stuck out to me as just like a gripping one. It has a
Yeah,
lot of feeling behind it.
a lot of feeling. Jagger singing great. The end part is almost orchestral in a way, which is weird for them. I'm always a huge fan of anyone that can record acoustic guitar properly. And the opening of that acoustic guitar and the wood in the guitar just says it all. I mean,
Hmm.
you can actually almost end the song there. After that guitar comes in, it's like really great.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great standalone piece, right? Like the guitar. Um, So I don't know. So the song, I mean, obviously it's very much a road song, and then lovelorn at that.
Exactly.
Um, you've done quite a bit of touring over the years, and I'm just curious how you've coped.
I like touring.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't.
you don't find strain in it.
Oh, it puts a strain on your relationships, that's for sure. You know, I mean, one of the reasons I stopped singing touring was because my son became of age, and like about 13 or 14, and I thought, well, I have to find some way to make money in New York or in not touring because I was gone up until then, sometimes 9 months at a time.
Hmm.
But as far as my personal stuff goes, I like meeting people. I like going to new places. I haven't been everywhere in the world. I like playing music to people. So, I mean,
Right.
as long as it's comfortable, I mean, there's always a tad bit of danger involved, but yeah, it doesn't, you know, I like doing it. Having said that, it's good to do it comfortably as opposed to like sitting in a van freezing cold and trying to get some sleep while you're propped against the window.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There are different
Yeah.
kinds of touring.
Oh,
But
sure.
yeah, but the idea of touring, I still like it. I hope to tour on this new record.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, like, so I was just curious, like with touring, like you've mentioned, obviously it's not as enjoyable to tour in a van in the winter, but like, what are the ups and downs of touring?
Um, Very little control over your life.
Hmm.
In the sense that you have to go where you have to go, and you have to be there, and then you have to um, go to the next place and be there, and that all takes preparation, and it's very hard to do anything else with
Right.
your life while you're on the road.
Yeah.
That is what you're doing. I mean, which is also great in a way because you think um, you wake up in the morning and go, "What do I have to do today? Play the guitar." Awesome.
Just
I
got to
mean,
get there.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, but you really it's you do lose control over the factors of your life, and just like there's not much else you can do while you're touring but tour. You can't stop and say, I'm sorry guys, I can't make it tonight because of blah blah blah, and you guys have to play whatever theater without me. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
And
it
you
has to
hope
be
everybody
something.
around you stays safe at home and so you don't have to. 'Cause, sometimes things happen, and people have to leave tours. You hope that doesn't happen to you, um, and you hope you have privacy sometimes because that's another thing as well. So because like touring, it's why bands only last sometimes 5 years because it's much like a five-way marriage,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you see each other sometimes 24/7. I mean, not 24/7. I mean, aside from 5 or 6 hours that you may sleep, sometimes you may do that and then find the other person in a bed across from you still. So there's a lack of privacy,
Right.
which is hard. That's what I think is the hardest part to deal with, because you don't really have privacy backstage. While you're on a bus, because you're on a bus with people. I mean, there are ways to get around it, like reading and putting headphones on. But um, yeah, if there were a downside, I would say that was it. But other than that, um, I like it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I admire that you want to get back out on the road to tour on this new record. I know that you're still kind of in the midst of trying to find an agent, right?
Yeah, we're still looking for a booking agent, that will get us on the opening slot or something like that. I mean, we're
Right.
playing April 6th at a place called Union Pool in Brooklyn for the record release parties, and we've been playing for like the past year.
Yeah, yeah. But
You
not
know?
like not a steady tour. Like when you tour, it's usually like a certain amount of dates for like a certain amount of
Exactly. Yeah,
time.
that's what
Right,
it is.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, what would you like to see happen at this point as far as touring is concerned?
I would like to get an opening slot with a band. I mean, you open for somebody on a tour. I mean, we're not really, the record. How can I say? I can't headline at this point, but I would like to have an opening slot playing theaters. I would love
Sure.
that. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
in America or Europe or in Asia as well.
Hmm. Yeah, can I ask you about the new record? Because I've listened to it. I got an advanced copy of it, and I really enjoyed it for a number of reasons. And I went back into your catalog and kind of listened to other things that you've done. And I feel like it's a different sounding record.
Yeah, I mean, I put songs on this that kind of I've always wanted to do. I mean, not that I didn't on the last record on the Naked Flame, but on the Naked Flame, my main objective was just to make a sputtering guitar rock and roll record. You know, that I had, because I played, behind people, and all that. And I thought, no, I'm just gonna just put it out there and make this guitar album. On this album, I'm making an album of songs. Not that the other didn't have songs, but there's more texture in it, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. And more variety as far as like kind of genre even, I feel, right?
Yeah.
Like you mix it up quite a bit on this one.
And that's kind of a new thing, it seems, to people these days. But to me, like the albums we discussed, I mean, all my favorite albums do that, where there's a mixture of genres, and it'll go take you here and it will take you there. So yeah, so I did that on this one.
Yeah, okay. And that was like kind of a conscious thing to kind of be like, let's break this up.
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought, okay, I have some songs that I want to record. Some of them have been sitting around for a while. Some of them are new. And I'm going to record them all and see if I can put them all on the same record. And see if they work together. And they did. Didn't have to, but they did.
Right. Cool. Well, that's great. I mean, hey, it's a great record.
Thank you so much.
It's being released on vinyl, isn't it?
Yes, actually, I'm waiting for the test pressing tomorrow. I got one, but let's not talk about that. But I'm getting another one tomorrow, and yeah, and then it is coming out in vinyl probably in July. They told me.
Okay.
Which is kind of fast these days.
It is. That is very.
I love vinyl.
That's one of the things I would wanted to know about. I mean, like, what is your collection like currently?
My record collection?
Yeah.
All the things we mentioned on vinyl and on CD. I mean, I gotta say, let me think about this. Maybe from about 2000, I don't know, 15. I have more CDs than vinyl, but I have a whole wall full of vinyl because I love it. I even bought some PJ Harvey stuff on vinyl recently, because I like it. I like the the usual reasons, the artwork, that holding it in your hands, how it's the tactility of it. I mean, just everything, And lately, especially with my own record, I'm finding, wow, there's actually a side 1 and a side 2. As opposed to just putting a gap on it like I usually do on CDs. It's like, no, you have to get up and turn the record over. It's great.
Yeah. Did that influence your sequencing of it?
Yes, because side A was side B and vice versa. Because when I first made the record, I listened to it and thought, there's something wrong. I don't know what it is. There shouldn't be, but there is. And I reversed, so side B became side A and side A became side B.
Oh, okay.
I'm a fan of how records are made, and I find, there's a lot of doctoring that goes on. For instance, I'm Not a Drone Alone. Left was right and right was left. I switched the sides, and that made sense. There's another song called Tell Me Lies where the guitars are like jangly, jangly, jangly. I made it mono. I love mono. I made it mono, and all of a sudden the song just came at you and made sense that way.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to grabbing it on vinyl when it comes out. I'm going to go to Pravda Records and search their catalog and see if they're doing the pre-order now, and I'm going to go pick one up.
Well, thank you so much. I'm pretty sure they are, because Pravda's great, by the way. They've been really good.
I've actually spoken to a few of the artists so far on the label. So yeah, they seem to be doing some great work.
Yeah.
Well, it's great.
All right.
Thank you so much, Ivan, for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
It's been an honor.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
They used to be in mine. Now all the pretty people are falling into line.
Vinyl and Vision is a Psychic Static production. Theme song written and performed by Jeff Robbins of 123 Astronaut.